wall where the girls' bedroom window is just a big brown wall, and you wanted to break that up. Right. So I've got some options here for you. Right here in front of us, this is a Pittosporum crassifolium caro. It's a great vertical shrub. You're looking at almost its max size and its max width, and it's got little red flowers, as you can see in the middle there. So one thing when you're planting these shrubs you want to take into consideration is how big they're going to get, especially when you're planting up next to the house. Because when you plant up next to the house, you run the risk of it going into the foundation of the house or against the wall. You don't want things rubbing against siding or any kind of stucco. But this plant, I think, would be perfect there. And it's going to break up that wall to distract away from that window, because people going by, when they see just an open window there, they're always looking into it. And since it's the girls' room, I know that's kind of a security issue. This will distract from that, and it also beautify the front yard. So I think this is definitely a great choice. What do you think?
Well, I agree. We've definitely been talking about putting some height next to that window to break up that wall. And I think this would be a nice addition.
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
It's real nice.
Another choice that we have is, you know, the area that's bordering your neighbor, and it's a little planter bed. You've got a few shrubs, very low growing in there at the moment. What I thought we would do is use this diosma, pink breath of heaven. You see the wonderful pink flowers on it. It's very airy and wispy looking. This gets about 4 feet tall, and it's going to provide a nice little barrier, because I know that's entering your house. It's going to provide a nice barrier between you and your neighbor. It's not a wall, but it kind of defines where your house ends and their house begins. So what do you think about this plant going right in there?
Oh, I like it a lot. Now, does it keep the flowers for most of the year?
Yeah, the wonderful thing about this is that the flowers do stay pretty much all year long, especially in your climate. It will not flower a little bit in the wintertime, but you still have green foliage the whole year.
Oh, I think they're beautiful. I think they would be a great.
Yeah, Ashlyn, do you like these plants? What do you think?
Are these two more seal of approval from Ashlyn? Yeah? All right. So we've got these two. We'll get these loaded up. Now let's take a look at a few more.
Great.
All right.
Great.
Tom, we were talking about incorporating color into the yard. This is a great way. This is a plant called Nemesia sensata. We've got kumquat and lemon over here. Lots of bright color, year-round color as well, which is really nice, because this is going to give you color all the way into the winter, which a lot of plants don't do.
Is kumquat the name of the plant or the color?
That's the name of the color. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not a kumquat plant. It's a kumquat color. But the neat thing about these plants is that they're proven winter plants, and what that means is they've been tested and tried, and they do really well against bugs and disease, and they grow really well for our environment. So that's something you might want to look for whenever you're in a nursery, is make sure that the plants come from a credible grower and the research has been done, so that way you're successful as a home gardener.
And you were thinking of this in the front planter or the side planter?
So these ones here are going to go in the front planter, almost along the border. This is going to be your mid-range plant. So we're going to have a low plant, a mid-range plant, and then your taller plants in the background.
Okay.
So this one's going to fill in right there in the middle.
All right, that's good.
All right, let's go take a look at some more. So Tom, you have 3 girls right now that you live with. Oh no, wait a minute, 4, right?
I've got 3 daughters and my wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 4.
So the most amount of flowers in the front yard are probably what they want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is going to be our lowest planting. We talked about the other plants that we have. We got our high, our middle, and then we have our low. This is Chrysanthemum paludosumum. This is a little white daisy flower. This loves full sun. It's really fast growing too. And not only does it produce great green foliage, but these little white flowers cover the whole plant when it's in season.
I think I've actually planted one of these before, and it grows really well there.
Okay, good. So this is going to be our lowest planting, and when we space these out, we're going to space these about 10 to 12 inches on center, because when they ultimately grow together, that's going to provide a nice solid border through the whole front yard. Okay. So when you think about buying plants, you also have to know their spacing, so that way you know how many you need to buy. The other thing that's cool about these plants is that since you have the little girls, they're easy because you could pick these flowers and they rejuvenate real quickly. So you're not going to have a loss of flowers, even with the girls kind of trampling on them or picking them, and they're going to produce really well.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because they actually pick all of our flowers. So this would be a great plant to have.
Point them in this direction, and you can call that deadheading for them, all right?
Okay.
So let's grab a couple of these color packs, and we'll put them in our cart.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to tell you guys a family secret. Whenever I was planting anything, my dad always told me to use a $20 hole for a $5 plant. And what that means is that whenever you're planting any plants, you want to make sure to fertilize and compost well before you even get started. What that ensures is that your plants are going to start off on the right route. Because when you fertilize and compost initially, the plants have good soil to start in, they have nutrients to pull from, and it's really important. Being here in San Diego, it's tough because a lot of our soil is full of clay and salt. So when you amend them and add fertilizer, you're going to ensure that the plants get a good start. And that may be a reason why you weren't too successful in the beginning, but now we're going to definitely make you much more successful. So here we have some organic fertilizers. What we're going to incorporate into your yard initially is this Reby Stone Rose and Flower food. The reason why we're going to incorporate that is every fertilizer has a value. It's called its NPK. It's 563 for this one, which means it's higher in the phosphorus, which is important for the blooms. So anything that produces a flower needs that phosphorus. So what we're going to do is put this in the soil before we start planting, and that makes sure that we're going to have flowers year-round on all those.
Okay.
All right?
So how much of this do you put in?
So when we first mix this into the soil, you're going to put about a cup every 10 to 15 square feet. So we're just going to dribble it over the soil, and then when we plant, it's going to mix in, and then when you water, it soaks into the root system. Okay. Organic fertilizers are also important because not only are you feeding the plant, but you're feeding the soil. I talked about salts being in the soil earlier. Well, salts break down live organisms in the soil. Organic fertilizers boost those amounts back up. So you're going to see a lot of earthworms, you're going to see a lot of life in the soil, which is cool. The girls might enjoy that as well.
They'll love it.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get some of the fertilizer as well, and then now we're ready to go and get started on the planting.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go out this way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've loaded up Jill, Tom, and the girls in the van. So now we're going to get over to their house so we can get planting. All right, let's roll.
I'm Sharon Asakawa from the Garden Life Radio Show, and thanks to the grafted Mighty Tomatoes, now everyone can grow tomatoes like these.
Get ready for the tomato plant that's going to change the way Americans grow vegetables. If you've been searching for a delectable tasting tomato that performs great in your garden, the Mighty Tomato grafted tomato is the answer to your quest. Tomatoes known for their luscious flavor are grafted onto vigorous rootstock. The result? Mighty tomato plants that produce more fruit for a longer season on disease and pest-resistant plants. And since they require less water and fertilizer and adapt to even poor soils, the Mighty Tomatoes are the perfect plants no matter where you live in the U.S. Remember, for healthier, more vigorous plants and bumper crops, be sure to plant the Mighty Tomato.
For a bountiful harvest, don't forget to look for Mighty Tomatoes, Mighty Peppers, and Mighty Eggplant at your local garden center or online.